How's it going, everybody? Wayne here, and welcome to another episode of the N64 Complete in Box Quest. This is the first video of 2019. Usually when I start out a video in a new year, I like to do a retro game chasing video. But I just had surgery on my foot and I'm not able to get around, so I decided just to do an N64 Complete in Box Quest video for the first video. So not to get into too much detail, but basically 6 years ago I got a running injury. I'm one of like 8% of people who have an extra bone in my foot, and this bone decided to pierce a tendon, and over time that bone kept piercing the tendon and making it bigger and bigger, and it got to the point where it just wouldn't completely heal at all. And I finally got surgery on it, so hopefully 2019 is a pain-free year. So last N64 Complete in Box Quest video, I showed you the Just Go system, and I thought I'd kick out this episode with something else cool, and that is the Turok Rage Wars Gray cartridge. If you remember in the last episode, I found out I had the Hydro Thunder Gray cartridge variant, and I decided it was time to start going for the variants again. This is the rarest North American gray cartridge variant, and what's different about this is the black cartridge of this version had a glitch in it to where you couldn't beat it on a two-player game. And this version, you could send your copy into a claim and they would send you this copy back, and the glitch would be fixed so you could beat the game on two-player. And the way you verify if this is an authentic cart is you can either beat the game on two-player, or you look at the back, and on the back label you'll see stamped on it is 07A. So this is one of the coolest gray cartridge variants you can have. Besides adding that to the collection, we also have 7 more Complete in Box games that we'll be adding to the collection. Let's check them out. The first game up is a pretty cool game I've never played before, and that game is Space Station Silicon Valley. Space Station Silicon Valley was developed by DMA Design and published by Take-Two Interactive. It released for the N64 in 1998. Silicon Valley is a platforming puzzle game where you are a microchip that takes over the bodies of dead animals. The game starts out with your spacecraft crashing into an asteroid and plummeting into Silicon Valley. While there, you must solve puzzles to advance in the game. This is yet another game that has flown under the radar for me. It's an absolute blast and will have you hooked as soon as you start playing it. Each animal you control has different abilities, and you must choose the right animal to solve the puzzles. Each time you take over a new animal, you're given a description of its abilities. For example, sheep can jump and float in the air, the mice on wheels can whip things with its tail, and rams can butt things with its head. The graphics are cartoony but good. The sound and the music in the game are great. The camera angles can get annoying at times, but that's only a minor complaint. Finally, the controls are good, giving you an excellent overall gameplay experience. This is another game I'll come back to and do a full playthrough of. I highly recommend giving Space Station Silicon Valley a chance if you're looking for a unique platforming puzzle experience. Space Station Silicon Valley is game number 187 for the collection, and it cost me $77 shipped, bringing our total up to $9,307. Next up is a game that most are probably familiar with, and that game is Star Fox 64. Star Fox was developed and published by Nintendo, releasing for the N64 in 1997. Star Fox is a 3D aircraft combat game where you control Fox McCloud to save the Lilat system, hence why the game is called Lilat Wars in Australia and Europe. Selling just over 4 million copies, Star Fox was the 9th best-selling game on the N64. And it's easy to see why. The thing I like most about the game is the controls. You can speed up, slow down, do barrel rolls to avoid enemy fire, do U-turns, and sharp turns, making for an awesome combat simulation. I also like how it requires you to protect your wingman, making it a more realistic combat game. The weapon system also flow well, where you can do rapid fire, lock onto enemies, or bomb them. One fact you may not know about Star Fox is it was the first game to support the Rumble Pack, and the game came bundled with it. Star Fox is a fun game, and it's definitely worth adding to your collection. Star Fox is game number 188 for the collection, and I found it for $80 complete in box at the mall while I was in the States, and that brings our total up to $9,387. Next up we have a child's game, Elmo's Number Journey. Elmo's Number Journey was developed by Real-Time Associates and published by New Kid Company, releasing for the N64 in 1999. Elmo's Number Journey is a learning game. In the game, you'll choose from one of 3 difficulty levels: easy, medium, or hard. After that, you can talk to 3 different characters, which are Ernie, the Cookie Monster, or the Count. Each character you talk to has 2 areas you can travel through, finding specific numbers they designate. You'll go through gardens, a chocolate river, a snowboarding level, and Count's castle. After you find all the numbers in each area, there is a bonus math round. You answer the questions by throwing baseballs and ringing a bell. If you accidentally throw too many balls, you can honk a horn and discard one. After you defeat all 6 areas in all 3 bonus levels, you beat the game, which only takes about 20 minutes. That makes this the first game I've beat in 2019. Yay! The controls are easy for a child. All the C buttons and the A and B buttons do the same thing, so they can focus on learning numbers rather than the controls. The camera angles automatically adjust, which can be annoying when hunting down numbers. There are also many times where I put in a command multiple times with no response. But overall, it's a decent learning game for a child. Elmo's Number Journey is game number 189 for the collection, and it cost me $25 shipped, bringing our total up to $9,412 for the N64 Complete in Box Quest. Next up, a similar game, Elmo's Letter Adventure. Elmo's Letter Adventure was also developed by Real-Time Associates and published by New Kid Company, releasing for the N64 in 1999. The game is set up exactly like Elmo's Number Journey, but this time you'll meet Ernie, Big Bird, and Grover. The games to find letters differ as well. Here you'll explore garden, space levels where you control a vehicle and a rocket, and 2 underwater levels. Just like in Number Journey, after you finish each level for each character, there is a bonus level. In the bonus level, you must find the correct letter to finish spelling a word. Once you defeat all 6 levels and all 3 bonus levels, you beat the game. This game also took 20 minutes on hard mode to finish, making it the second game I beat in 2019. Yay! Elmo's Number Journey and Elmo's Letter Adventure are the only games on the N64 with an ESRB rating of EC for early childhood. If you have kids, these games are okay games. Otherwise, they'll most likely just end up sitting on your shelf. Elmo's Letter Adventure is game number 190 for the collection, and it cost me $39 shipped, bringing our total up to $9,451 for the N64 Complete in Box Quest. Up next is a racing game, and this one actually has a gray cartridge variant as well, which I don't have yet, and that game is Road Rash 64. Road Rash 64 was developed by Pacific Coast Power and Light and published by THQ, releasing for the N64 in 1999. Road Rash 64 is a combat racing game. You'll start off choosing a bike, and each bike handles differently and has its advantages and disadvantages. Once on the track, your goal is to finish in first place. You do this by knocking down the other racers by kicking, punching, or using a weapon. The tracks are very short, and there aren't a whole lot of turns that are very difficult to take. One thing I noted in the game is it has a huge handicap. If you wreck your bike, you'll end up in last place. However, all the other racers slow down, making you be able to fly right past them. It's actually an advantage to have your bike wrecked in the game. The music in the game is a heavy rock and sounds great matching the gameplay. The graphics aren't the best, but they're passable. Finally, the controls are good, making Road Rash 64 a fun overall game. However, I think multiplayer would be the best way to enjoy the game. Road Rash 64 is game number 191 for the collection, and it cost me $40 shipped, bringing our total up to $9,491 for the N64 library. Next up, a skateboarding game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Tony Hawk 3 was developed by Neversoft and published by Activision, releasing for the N64 in 2002. Pro Skater 3 is the 3rd and final installment in the Tony Hawk series for the N64. We've already covered the first 2, and they didn't disappoint. Tony Hawk 3 is no exception. You're treated to a fun skateboarding game with great music, excellent controls, and good graphics. The game has a ton of options to choose from. You can choose career mode where you can collect items and score high points as you advance through the game. There's a multiplayer option to play with your friends. And of course, one of my favorite things in the game, which is the track editor. It never gets old designing your own track and checking out your masterpiece. If you're into skateboarding games, I'd recommend any of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games on the N64. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is game number 192 for the collection, and it cost me $57 shipped, bringing our total up to $9,548 for the N64 Complete in Box Quest. The final game for the collection today is a racing game, and that game is Rush 2049. Rush 2049 was developed and published by Atari Games and released for the N64 in 2000. Rush 2049 is the third and final game in the Rush series for the N64. We've already covered Rush and Rush 2, which were both fun games. Rush 2049 is even better. In Rush 2049, you'll race on futuristic tracks. The graphics and sound improved immensely over the previous two games. Like the previous Rush games, Rush 2049 is loaded with secrets. You can spend hours just exploring every nook and cranny for secret paths and switches that activate ramps. They took everything the first two games did right and made them better. On my original review of Rush, I said that Rush was in my top 5 favorite games for the N64. So to see such a huge improvement in the game is really awesome. I'm excited to play Rush 2049 and discover all the secrets in the game. If you're a fan of racing games, I definitely recommend adding the Rush games to your collection. Don't forget to grab a friend and play hide and seek or tag with the cars. Rush 2049 is game number 193 for the collection, and I found it for $60 in the States at the mall, bringing our total up to $9,608 for the N64 Complete in Box Quest. Let's get these games on the shelf. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe. I'll be completing the entire N64 library, complete in box, right here on the show. Also, make sure to leave a thumbs up for Star Fox 64. Until next time, I'm Wayne, and thanks for watching.